Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. We begin today's bulletin by expressing our deepest condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in the horrific terror attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. May the departed souls rest in peace and may their loved ones find strength in this time of unimaginable grief. We stand in solidarity with them. Now coming back to the headlines of the day. Terror attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. The price of 24-carat gold surged to Rs 1 lakh per 10 grams for the first time in India. China detonated a non-nuclear hydrogen bomb. ISRO's SpaceX mission completes second docking of satellites. IMF releases World Economic Outlook, a critical juncture among policy shift report. Union Environment Ministry notifies draft greenhouse gases emission intensity target rules 2025. In a tragic development from Jammu and Kashmir, a terror attack has rocked the scenic view of Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir, known for its breathtaking basalt meadows, often referred to as mini Switzerland. The attack has led to the loss of innocent civilian lives, casting a shadow over the tranquil tourist destination. Claiming responsibility for this heinous act, it's the Resistance Front or TRF, a proxy outfit of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, a banned terrorist organization listed under India's Unlawful Activities Prevention Act or UAPA. Turning to the reasons for the continued presence of terrorism in the region, several factors stand out. One of the most prominent is state-sponsored terrorism. Pakistan has repeatedly been accused of providing safe havens, training and logistical support to terror organizations operating in Jammu and Kashmir. Adding to this challenge is the porous and difficult terrain along the line of control, which makes it extremely difficult to trace and prevent the infiltration of militants and weapons. Moreover, religious and ethnic tensions in the region among Muslims, Hindus, and various tribal communities are often exploited by terror groups to fuel communal unrest. Another significant factor is the role of overground workers or OGWs. These are individuals or groups that provide non-combat assistance like logistical support, intelligence to militant groups without directly participating in armed activities. Now, looking at the way forward, experts stress the need for a multi-pronged approach. This begins with strengthening border security, including the strategic deployment of forces, improving infrastructure and leveraging technology, in line with the Madhukar Gupta Committee recommendations. At the same time, there is an urgent need to strengthen political institutions by empowering local governance and elected representatives, thereby enhancing accountability and responsiveness. Equally important is community involvement. Confidence-building measures such as civilian-military cooperation through initiatives like the Village Defense Guards, as well as efforts at counter-radicalization and rehabilitation are essential to restoring trust and peace. On the front of India's counter-terrorism measures in the region, several key initiatives are already in place. The Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System is designed to bolster the BSF's capability to detect and prevent cross-border crimes, including illegal infiltration. Further, Operation All Out, launched in 2017, is aimed at neutralizing top militant commanders, especially from LET, JEM, and similar outfits. In parallel, programs like Back to Village are intended to bring governance to the grassroots, fostering public trust and reducing alienation. Additionally, skill development schemes such as Himayat and Udan aim to empower youth, providing them with constructive alternatives and a sense of purpose. In conclusion, the situation in Jammu and Kashmir remains complex and deeply sensitive. But through a combination of strong security measures, political empowerment, and active community participation, India continues to work towards ensuring a more secure and stable future for the region. Moving on, the price of 24-carat gold has surged to Rs 1 lakh per 10 grams for the very first time in India. So, what is behind this unprecedented jump? Let's break it down. Starting with the key global factors driving this price surge. First, geopolitical tensions are rising. With global conflicts and economic uncertainties dominating the landscape, investors are turning to gold, a traditional safe haven asset. Next, we look at the US Federal Reserve's rate cuts. As interest rates fall, the appeal of gold grows. Since gold does not yield interest, it becomes more attractive when the opportunity cost of holding cash or bonds goes down. Then, there's the weakening of the US dollar. A declining dollar makes gold cheaper for buyers using other currencies, which naturally increases global demand. And finally, central bank accumulation is playing a big role. Central banks, especially in Asia, are aggressively buying gold. The aim? Well, to reduce dependence on the US dollar and diversify their reserves. Now, let's bring the focus back home to India's gold market. India stands as the world's second largest consumer of gold, right after China. In 2024 alone, India's gold demand touched 802.8 tons. It's important to note that around 85% of this gold is imported. This makes domestic prices highly sensitive to international market trends. But what is fueling such high demand for gold here in India? First, it's about financial security. Gold is deeply trusted as a long-term store of value, especially during times of inflation or market instability. Second, the cultural and religious significance of gold cannot be overstated. It is seen as auspicious and is central to festivals like Diwali, Dhanteras, and Akshaya Tritiya. Third, we have the wedding season boost. During this time, gold jewelry purchases surge as it is considered a prestigious and traditional gift for brides. And lastly, in many rural areas where people don't have access to banks or stock markets, gold serves as a trusted, liquid asset used for saving, investing, or even borrowing. Let's also take a look at gold reserves, both in India and around the world. In India, when it comes to gold ore resources, the largest share is in Bihar with 43%, followed by Rajasthan at 24.92% and Karnataka at 20%. But in terms of metal content, Karnataka leads the way, followed by Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, and Bihar. On the global front, the United States hold the largest gold reserves, followed by Germany and Italy. And when we look at major exporters of gold, Germany takes the lead, followed by the European Union and Switzerland, according to the World Integrated Trade Solution report from 2023. In a groundbreaking development, China has detonated a non-nuclear hydrogen bomb, marking a major advancement in modern weapons technology. Different from the traditional atomic and hydrogen bombs, this 2-kilogram device achieved temperatures exceeding 1000 degrees Celsius, representing a significant leap in the design and function of future armaments. Now, moving into the key features of this bomb. It's important to note it deploys chemical reaction with magnesium hydride to create a powerful explosion without nuclear materials. Hydrogen bomb, on the other hand, is primarily based on the nuclear fusion process. Second, the bomb uses magnesium hydride. Unlike hydrogen bombs that use radioactive hydrogen isotopes like a deuterium or tritium as fuel, magnesium hydride is a silvery powder that acts as a solid-state hydrogen storage material. When ignited, it releases hydrogen that rapidly mixes with air, and on reaching explosive limits, the gas ignites, creating a self-sustaining combustion cycle. Transitioning to its destructive capacity, the bomb generates about 40% of the blast force of trinitrotoluene or TNT. However, what it lacks in explosive power, it makes up for with a greater thermal damage radius. The heat output is sufficient to melt materials such as aluminium alloys, and because it requires only minimum ignition energy, it can produce intense sustained heat without emitting any radiation. To better understand how this device fits into the broader context of explosive technologies, let's briefly compare atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs. Starting with the type of reaction involved, atomic bombs are based on nuclear fission, while hydrogen bombs rely on nuclear fusion. In atomic bombs, the process involves the splitting of the nuclei of heavy atoms such as uranium-235 or plutonium-239 into smaller, lighter nuclei, releasing substantial energy. This reaction can occur spontaneously or be initiated using neutrons. In contrast, hydrogen bombs function by fusing two light elements, typically hydrogen isotopes, into a heavier element, a process that releases significantly more energy than fission. When it comes to fuel, atomic bombs use uranium-235 or plutonium-239, while hydrogen bombs are powered by deuterium and tritium, which are isotopes of hydrogen. If we talk of the reaction in the atomic bombs, a neutron strikes uranium-235, causing it to split into lighter elements, release energy, and emit additional neutrons. And in hydrogen bombs, deuterium and tritium combine to form helium, release a neutron, and produce a large amount of energy. So, this new Chinese non-nuclear hydrogen bomb signals a new chapter in weapons development, with its innovative use of chemical compounds and high thermal efficiency posing new considerations for global defense and security. In a significant stride for India's space technology, ISRO's SpaceX mission has successfully completed its second satellite docking in orbit. This marks yet another milestone in the country's journey toward advanced space capabilities. At the heart of this breakthrough lies a remarkable innovation: the Bharatiya Docking System, an indigenously developed in-space docking technology by ISRO. This system is crucial when multiple rocket launches are required to achieve a shared mission objective, enabling spacecraft to join together while in orbit. Now, turning to the SpaceX mission itself. Short for Space Docking Experiment, it was launched as a technology demonstrator to showcase in-space docking, which essentially means the joining of two fast-moving satellites in space. This feat was carried out using two small spacecraft launched aboard PSLV C-60. The mission had a clear and focused primary objective: to develop and demonstrate the technology needed for rendezvous docking and undocking between two spacecraft, named SDX-01 Chaser and SDX-02 Target, in a low Earth circular orbit. The SpaceX spacecraft were designed and developed by the U.R. Rao Satellite Center with support from various other ISRO centers. For those unfamiliar, URSC, based in Bengaluru and formerly known as ISRO Satellite Center or ISSAC, is the lead hub for building satellites and advancing satellite technologies for the nation. Let's talk about the significance of this mission. First and foremost, it strengthened India's strategic space capability. Orbital docking is not just a technical feat, it's a foundational technology for future human spaceflight, satellite servicing missions, and the planned Bharatiya Antariksh Station. Equally important is national achievement. With this success, India becomes the fourth country in the world after the United States, Russia, and China to master satellite docking in space. That places ISRO firmly among the elite spacefaring nations. And looking ahead, this development paves the way for future space missions. It enables complex operations such as those planned for Chandrayaan-4 without needing navigation support from Earth's GNSS or Global Navigation Satellite System. In summary, SpaceX not only showcases India's technological maturity but also charts the course for more autonomous and sophisticated missions in the near future. In a significant update to the global economic landscape, the International Monetary Fund or IMF has released its latest report titled World Economic Outlook or WEO, a critical juncture among policy shift. This report outlines major shifts in global growth projections and emphasizes the urgent need for policy changes in response to an aging world population. Starting with the headline figures, the IMF has cut its global growth forecast to 2.8%, and for India, it now stands at 6.2%, down from its earlier estimate in the January 2025 update. The reduction is largely attributed to rising trade tensions and policy uncertainty across nations. Now, let's look at some key observations. Moving on to the core theme of the report, the rapidly aging global population. According to the IMF, economies worldwide are aging at an unprecedented pace, a result of declining fertility rates combined with rising life expectancy. Most countries are now crossing their demographic turning point, transitioning from enjoying a demographic dividend to facing a demographic drag. To put it into perspective, the average age of the world's population is projected to rise by 11 years between 2020 and the end of the century. But it's not all bad news. This aging trend is accompanied by positive developments in healthy aging. In fact, the report highlights that the functional capacity of older individuals has improved over time. For example, a 70-year-old in 2022 had the same cognitive ability as a 53-year-old in the year 2000. This advancement in health and capacity opens new possibilities for economic participation. Now, let's examine the benefits of healthy aging. The IMF projects that healthy aging could add 0.4 percentage points to global average GDP growth between 2025 and 2050. Among the key contributors to this boost is India, as the share of workers aged 50 and older is expected to grow rapidly during this period. This shift also has implications for labor force participation. With targeted health policies, older workers are likely to remain economically active longer, increasing their participation rates in the workforce. As for policy recommendations, the IMF calls for a comprehensive approach. This includes pension reforms, training opportunities, adaptations in workplaces, and health-focused interventions, all aimed at raising effective retirement ages. Furthermore, to address demographic challenges holistically, the report urges countries to reduce labor force participation gaps, particularly by increasing female labor participation. This can be achieved through better work-life balance policies, affordable childcare, and other supportive measures. In summary, the IMF's latest World Economic Outlook stresses the need for global economic policies that not only respond to slower growth, but also embrace the potential of an aging population. In a major step towards achieving its climate commitments, the Union Environment Ministry has released the draft of Greenhouse Gases Emission Intensity Target Rules 2025. These draft rules set clear emission reduction targets for 4 energy-intensive sectors: aluminium, cement, chlor-alkali, and pulp and paper, aiming to cut down their environmental impact. Now, let's understand what this means. GEI means greenhouse gases emission intensity in TCO2e, or equivalent output or product. Moving on to how these targets are calculated. The rules specify that GEI targets will be determined using a methodology developed by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, tailored specifically for each obligated entity listed in the schedule of the draft rules. When it comes to compliance, all obligated entities must meet these GEI targets annually under the framework of the Carbon Credit Trading Scheme 2023. If they fall short, they have the option to purchase carbon credit certificates from the Indian Carbon Market, or ICM, to make up the difference. However, failing to comply comes at a cost. The Central Pollution Control Board will impose an environmental compensation, which will be twice the average price of the carbon credit certificates traded in that year. This amount must be paid within 90 days of non-compliance. Backing these measures is the Environmental Protection Act of 1986, providing legal support for enforcing penalties in case of rule violations. Now, talking about the broader significance of these rules. They play a key role in India's plan to achieve its nationally determined contributions, specifically the target of reducing the emissions intensity of GDP by 45% by 2030, compared to 2005 levels. Additionally, this move aligns well with Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, which outlines tools and mechanisms for countries to voluntarily cooperate in meeting their NDCs through the carbon market. Another important aspect is that these rules promote the adoption of sustainable and cutting-edge technologies, especially in sectors that are traditionally known for high emissions. So, how does the Carbon Credit Trading Scheme 2023 fit into all this? Well, this scheme was introduced under the Energy Conservation Act of 2001 and aims to create a structured carbon market in India. Its objective is straightforward: to reduce, avoid, or remove greenhouse gas emissions by allowing the trading of carbon credit certificates. It offers 2 mechanisms: a compliance mechanism for obligated entities who earn CCS on complying with the prescribed GHG emission intensity reduction norms, and an offset mechanism through which non-obligated entities can register emission-reducing projects that reduce or remove emissions to earn CCCs. In summary, the draft GEI target rules are a strategic push towards a greener and more sustainable industrial sector. If adopted effectively, they could not only help India meet its global climate obligations, but also transform high-emission sectors into leaders of innovation and sustainability. In today's Place in News, we turn our focus to Saudi Arabia with its capital Riyadh. In a key diplomatic development, the Indian Prime Minister visited Saudi Arabia, where he co-chaired the second meeting of the India-Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council. This visit underlines the growing ties between the two nations. Now, taking a closer look at Saudi Arabia itself. It is an absolute monarchy located in the Middle East and holds the distinction of being the largest country in the Arabian Peninsula, covering nearly 4/5 of the region. It shares land borders with Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, the UAE, and Yemen, and has maritime borders along the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Aqaba. Importantly, it is also home to Islam's two holiest shrines, Mecca and Medina. From a geographical perspective, Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the world without a river. It is known for its harsh, dry desert climate with extreme temperatures. The country is also rich in natural resources, particularly oil, natural gas, and iron ore. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Union Agriculture Ministry has made Aadhaar authentication mandatory for individuals and farmer groups to avail benefits under the ENAM or National Agriculture Market Scheme. Section 7 of the Aadhaar Act 2016 provides for Aadhaar-based authentication for availing any subsidy, benefit or service whose expenditure is incurred from the Consolidated Fund of India. India-Nepal inaugurated commencement of electromechanical works at the Arun 3 hydroelectric project to ensure its timely completion. Arun 3 hydroelectric project is located on Arun River, tributary of Kosi in Sangkhu Vasbhat district of eastern Nepal. It is a 900 MW run-of-river scheme. 34 critically endangered vultures were transferred from the Vulture Conservation Breeding Centre or VCBC in Pinjore, Haryana to Maharashtra. VCBC Pinjore was established in 2001 with the UK government's Darwin Initiative for the Survival of Species Fund. Supreme Court directed NEERI or National Environmental Engineering Research Institute to assess the impact of neighbouring glass industry on Taj Mahal. Supreme Court had in the past issued orders from time to time for TTZ, for example, ban of coal or coke in industries in TTZ in 1996. Scientists have discovered a hidden continent beneath Greenland's ice called the Davis Strait proto-microcontinent. Proto-microcontinents are regions of relatively thick continental lithosphere separated from major continents by a zone of thinner continental lithosphere. A new radiocarbon study using accelerator mass spectrometry dating revised the age of farming settlement in Mehergarh from 8000 BCE to 5200 BCE. Mehergarh archaeological site is a Neolithic site located at the mouth of Bolan Pass in present-day Balochistan, Pakistan. The Standing Deposit Facility or SDF marks 3 years since its introduction as Reserve Bank of India's liquidity management framework. SDF is a monetary tool that absorbs liquidity from commercial banks without collateral. The government does not need to give securities to banks for deposits. The government has amended Tobacco Board Rules 1976, extending the validity of registration for Virginia tobacco growers from 1 year to 3 years. Tobacco is believed to have originated from South America. There are more than 60 species of tobacco. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.